Hey everybody, thanks for watching. We got a lot coming up with Merkabah Academy and a lot to get into in this video, so let's get into it. I know a lot of you guys have been enjoying the games, but there's a lot more games to come once the site is complete. We are nearing the completion of Merkabah Academy and the site will be done September the 9th. We will upload the full completed site. This is your chance to get a Never Pay Again membership at an unbelievable price, $7.99. And we'll get into that in a second. There's a lot of accounts on Merkabah Academy, so we're giving everybody a chance to upgrade to Never Pay Again membership. If you are not a Never Pay Again member by Monday, your account will be deleted. But no worries, if you can't afford the $7.99, you'll have a chance to re-register 10 days after the site launches. Also, the new Merkabah Academy app will soon be available. You will get notifications and alerts. You will also be able to upload your favorite music and edit your course experience. Now, as I said before, we'll have teachers on Merkabah Academy. A few of you I'm already speaking to now. But if you would like to become a teacher on Merkabah Academy, make sure you send me an email. If you have anything to teach, if you have the skill, send me an email to Merkabah Academy. If you want to teach on Merkabah Academy, you'll have a chance to earn some money. You'll be able to interact with your students, as well as send out course materials, mass messaging, and a lot more. Merkabah Academy will be global, so even if you're overseas and you want to teach or you want to join the site, you'll be able to do so. So now, as I said, Merkabah Academy, this is your final chance to get Never Pay Again membership for $7.99, an unheard of, unbelievable price. This is your chance to get it. This sale will end on Monday, will be your final chance. We have to do this because we have to flush the site of members and we don't want to get rid of anybody who's a Never Pay Again member. So it's a lot of dummy pages, it's a lot of dummy subscribers. We have to get rid of those people and we have to make sure that everybody who is on the site is engaged in the site. I know it's a lot to take in, but the site is almost complete and we appreciate your patience and support. Thanks for watching.
Christopher Columbus, believe it or not, was inside the Alhambra castle that the Moors built, getting the blessing from Queen Isabella and Ferdinand to basically go and do what he was doing. Now, make no mistake, Columbus was a Roman. He was a Roman. He was just under the control of Spaniards, who was basically Romans. As I said, but he was a Roman. So he got the blessing to basically go out and do what he was doing. And on that ship, he had Moors. Everybody always talk about, well, was black people on Columbus ship that helped him find America? There was Moors. Moors helped him do what he was doing. And you have to think about around this time. We're talking about, 15th, 16th century AD. Now, Europe was conquered. As I said, Europe was conquered. It's done. But remember, you have the rest of Africa untouched. It's still kingdoms in power in Africa. Remember, I talked about you have the Congo kingdom along the Swahili coast. You have the Kerma kingdom. You have so many kingdoms still in Africa existing. Mali, Songhai, still existing. Meanwhile, Northern Africa, kaput. Europe, kaput, all in the hands of European power. So you can look at the time frame. Look at what's going on. Right around this time, you see people, these African rulers start to switch into Islam or Christianity. You've seen what happened. So when you go look at the Songhai Empire, you look at Sunni Ali or what have you, and them converting into Islam. Mansa Musa, supposedly the richest man of all time, converting into Islam. A lot of these African leaders in Mali and Songhai converting to Islam. But it was a trap. It was a setup anyway. It didn't matter if they converted or not. Those lands were supposed to come under control of the Europeans. And that's what happened. Because even though they converted, as I said before, you got to think about it. When the Songhai Empire was at war with the Europeans, where was the Muslims? There's no way in the world the Europeans should have been able to take the Songhai Empire with the help of the Arabs. But it was a trap. It was a setup anyway. And those kingdoms, as I said, those royal families was enslaved all throughout Africa. Their castles in ruins. Because there was the last remaining threat. Well, not the last yet. Get into that. Matter of fact, yeah, there was the last because this is after. Okay, so I'll talk about this in a second. But there was the last remaining threat to Europe, to Rome. Why? Because they had the knowledge. They had the knowledge of math and astrology and what have you. And eventually they would find out what happened. They knew they people ruled up in Europe. They understood it because they were trading with them for years. They understand it was a change in power. So to make that transition smooth, of course, as I said, they didn't kill all the Africans in power, the black people. They intermarried them. And eventually they breeded them out. But, it was only going to be, for a small amount of time. So when you had these Africans ruling in Africa, converting to Islam, when it was taken over, they was enslaved. The ones who didn't want to, act right, they was enslaved. And we are basically the descendants of them, over in America. So all those leaders in Benin and all throughout Africa, Congo, what have you, was basically enslaved by the Portuguese. I mean, when you see slavery starting out, as far as the European slavery, just again, the timeline. Look at the timeline. The time don't lie. This is how we kill the whole religious thing, because the time doesn't fit. It's the same thing here. Look at the timeline. You have the end of the Dark Ages, bringing about the whole Knights Templar, the whole war and everything. We're going to get into the whole Crusades too real fast in a quick second, because the Templars, again, big part. But just look at the timeline. Right around this time, you have Renaissance, you have all this stuff going on. You have still African kingdoms and power, but then all of a sudden you get this transatlantic slave trade. You get this whole slave trade. You get the Portuguese all of a sudden going crazy, enslaving the crap out of Africans all in Spain, because that's basically what they was doing. The Africans that was left in Spain enslaved. When the Portuguese, and when they got their hands on guns, because guns was the main thing that basically ended any kind of, war. Once the Europeans got their hands on the cannon and guns, it was over. They went into Africa and basically took, what they wanted to take. They didn't venture into Central Africa because they pussies. That's why you need a gun when you're a pussy. Because even with guns, they wouldn't survive. There's so many other things there besides the people, which they would have been surrounded, that would have killed them. But so many, animals and diseases or what have you, that probably would have killed them before any people. So they can't really go into Central Africa and conquer into there, which is why a lot of places still exist to this day. If you pay attention to the map, they went all on the outer part of Africa. Top part, Northern Africa, they have South Africa, all the coastlines is where they went and basically conquered. They never ventured inside because they knew even with guns, they was doomed. But with guns, they can fire cannons from off the shore, from the waters. They can do what they needed to do. When you look at a lot of those African castles, they're right on coastlines. The same thing when I was showing you guys in the picture when I went to the Mallorca. You can see all the castles there. You always can see the ocean from each of the castles. They up high or they right next to the water. So this is what happened to the Africans. And they was basically, enslaved. So again, go real quick back to the whole war with the Knights Templar. The whole so-called Crusades. And you got to understand. Now, I talked about this before. Remember, I talked about how Muslims was Knights Templar, how the Muslims was a part of the Knights Templar and everything they try to hide. Again, put the pieces together. The Moors. The Moors was the ones who basically passed their knowledge down to the Knights Templar. So when you had this connection with the Muslims and the Moors, you can't leave out. The Muslims and the Knights Templars, you can't leave out the Moors. The Moors was a part of that. The job of the Knights Templars was basically to go out there and get rid of the people that was in power. It was almost like an assassination squad, even though it was a bunch of them and everything like that. But you still had like a small group that was like the top dudes that was going out and assassinating leaders in Rome. So you got to understand, one, when the Moors taught this information to the Knights Templars, that was a mistake, because the Knights Templars now had this information and knowledge. So if you remember in the Da Vinci Code, he was talking about how the Knights Templars just all of a sudden was given this unlimited power by the papacy. And then the papacy basically had them killed, and they basically, it's true, but it's not the way that they put it. This deals with the Moors. So when I titled this thing, when I put in the title of Real Assassin's Creed, this is where it comes from. The Knights Templar was a threat to the church because they had the knowledge of the Moors, and the Moors was in pocket plain and simple. But the Knights Templar commanded this huge army. Plain and simple. The leaders had this knowledge. Of course, the whole army didn't, but a small group. These leaders had this information from the Moors. And there was a threat to the papacy. And the Assassin's Creed, if you pay attention to the game, is about the Knights Templar, the corporation that created the Animus. At the top of it are Knights Templar. What are they trying to do? They're trying to get this information. They're trying to get descendants, if you pay attention, most of them Spanish descendants, to go into the Animus to get the memories that their ancestors had, to collect these pieces. Supposed to be, I think it was called the Apple of Eden or something like that, to where when you get all the pieces, you get this knowledge, the knowledge to control free will or what have you. What are they talking about here? It's basically talking about the Moors and the Knights Templar, plain and simple. Because the Moors gave the Knights Templar this information, and the real Assassin's Creed was these Portuguese assassins that was hired to go wipe out the Knights Templar, the ones at the top who had this information. When you play the game Assassin's Creed, who are you killing? Throughout the game, you're killing a buttload of Knights Templar. A lot of people never put this stuff together. So you have coming up later on the new Assassin's Creed game, where they have Assassin's Creed's Origin, I think it's called, with Kemet. It's trying to give you a hint. It's all going back to that, because that's where the knowledge of the Moors came from anyway. So it's all going back to that. So all this stuff comes together. It all gives you a picture. It all gives you a history that you can piece together to put together this history. So it's something that if you're not really paying attention to history, to a lot of the small things of history, you will look past a lot of this stuff. The Moors and the Knights Templar, again, you just got to pay attention to the time frame. Because if we're talking about around this time coming out of the Dark Ages into the Renaissance, and we know Moors is synonymous with Muslims, how can you leave out the Moors when it comes to the Knights Templars if the Muslims was with the Knights Templar? As I proved that point. You can't do it. So you got to understand, it was teaching them this information. Now, but what they try to accuse the Knights Templar of basically like worshiping Baphomet, because the Moors came up with Baphomet. They basically encoded it into the Quran, to Islam. And that's one of the things they taught the Knights Templar, the codes of the religious doctrines. So when you look into Islam, into the book, they taught them how to basically, what Rome basically did. So when you look up Baphomet, it says Baphomet is a term originally used to describe an idol or other deity that the Knights Templar were accused of worshiping. And if you scroll down, and this is where it gets into the whole Islam part of it, because it says here clearly, Baphomet equals Muhammad. Again, this is when you decode all this stuff. It's too much to get into now, but something we'll get into later. It's basically was telling them this is where this is the code. This is what the Romans have. This is the secret. So they knew basically what the hidden code of the Bible and Islam and the Torah, what have you, was. The Knights Templar had that information along with the Moors, and they had to wipe them out for that. So this is what the Assassin's Creed was really about. It was going out, wiping out Knights Templar, not just them, Moors as well, the ones anybody who had this information, the knowledge that basically they didn't have a hold on, the Knights Templar, the Moors, or what have you, the Assassin's Creed, with the assassins was going out and wiping them out. This is already documented in Spain about the Portuguese assassins that was going out and wiping out the Knights Templar, and they was just around. It was known as the assassins. So this is where Assassin's Creed come from. This is why the castle, when I was in there, it just so happens, I took a picture with the Knights Templar crest or what have you. The reason why I took that picture is because it's in the part of the castle or the cathedral that was supposed to be the Muslim mosque built by the Moors. So it's weird that they will put this whole Knights Templar crest and everything here in relation with Moors and Muslims, trying to tell you something. So a lot of things you got to really pay attention to the clues that they give you. So getting back into Columbus, having a Moor going out into, the Americas. Pay attention to how the Portuguese was basically enslaving everybody, the Africans, and how you get Spanish people into so-called Latin America. Plain and simple. They was in there bringing in Africans, setting up civilizations, and then eventually enslaving the people that was there, mixing in. I mean, so much mixing going on to where the fact that, Spanish people don't know where the hell they come from. They just don't know. They relate more with us, black people, than they do with the Spanish, with the Latin people in Spain, So you got to just look at the history and see how everything just fits, how everything works out. But the main point is to understand that none of this wouldn't be done. I mean, Columbus couldn't got to where he got to without a Moor. You got to understand that. The Moors betrayed us. So when you go back and you look at the depictions, once the colonies established America, what have you, and you start seeing those pictures of the dudes with turbans, Moors, with George Washington. Benjamin Banneker was supposed to be a Moor who helped set up the Masonic layout of Washington, D.C. Masonry comes from the Moors. Plain and simple. All this stuff starts to get established and set up. You start to understand what's taking place. So you had these Moors come in and, basically start to, set up America. And, the Moors basically disappear over time. One, because they was being assassinated. You see these pictures of the Moors, black people, fez, and the turban, as early as, the 19th century, 1800s, or what have you, early 1900s, you can still see Moors. All of a sudden, it's like no more Moors. They're not giving no credit for nothing. Well, they give them credit in some cases, but we don't know about them really that much in early American history. But they played a big part. So, bringing the Africans over, slavery, what have you, the Moors, complete traitors. They sabotaged Africa. They destroyed so many civilizations with the help of the Europeans. They are not to be glorified or to be thought of as these great people who did something great for African people, because they didn't. With the knowledge that they had, even once Europe did fall to the barbarians, to the Aryans or what have you, the Moors could have brought us out of it if they just took our side instead of side with the Romans or what have you. But they did. And, the history that ensued is on them. Nowhere in the world that they will be able to conquer so much land, so much civilization that they conquer without the help of the Moors. Plain and simple. And make no mistake, you got to understand, with Christianity, what has its rules or what have you, which is it's the perfect deceptive religion, because it kind of makes you fight with yourself and want materialistic things on the inside. You know what I'm saying? So while you're trying to follow the Bible and be about the Bible, what have you, you can't fight natural human urges to want materialistic things. So one of the things that they did when they got into Mallorca, Spain, when they built the cathedral, is when Catholicism was set up. When I was walking around in there, I mean, everywhere you walk, you can see here, it's just Christian stuff everywhere. The crosses, crowns, and what have you. And the cathedral is huge. It's unbelievable. And, it's all about Christianity. That was the thing that they had to really instill in us, because they knew we come from a spiritual background. Christian section. Come here and see all the old Christian art they have in here, which they have a lot. That cross they be carrying around. You can see it right here. Bullshit, of course. I want to get to the Moor section and see what they have on the Moors here. If they have anything, it's probably mostly Christian stuff. They try to modernize. Mostly Christian. See all this witchcraft, everything where. This is what you need to understand. And this is going back, to Melanin, and understanding what this stuff is really about. And, some of you, this is going to be hard for you to accept or to even believe, and you might not want to believe it, but do the research and understand. What they don't want you to understand is they robbed you of spirituality, true spirituality, and what the ancient Egyptians was trying to help you out. They were trying to help you guys. And plain and simple, one, you got to understand melanin, what it really is. melanin. Your pineal gland, our pineal gland, is secreted in melanin. You get melatonin from the secretion of melanin, serotonin, and all this stuff controls, motor skills and, movement and thought and, just so many functions of the body. This is what they mean. It's because melanin has so much control with the body. Your organs and everything is secreting in melanin when you're African, when you're black, which is why they're stealing African organs and not white organs. They're stealing the organs of black people. This is already another thing that's documented. So they robbed you of being able to fix this problem by conquering. And you got to understand. So when you have the secretion of melanin, one, the pineal gland of Europeans, between 50 and 80% of it is calcified. It's a fact. You can look it up yourself. It's calcified. So you already have that problem, one. Two, you don't have melanin secreting the pineal gland, helping it out. So when you start to understand what melanin is doing and inducing the dream state and the role it plays in the dream state, we're talking about spirituality. And it's a part of them that understands this, that's longing for some kind of, some fit somewhere. This is why, white people travel. They go all throughout the world to try to find themselves, to try to find their places. They meditate. They do yoga. They do so many spiritual things to try to get what their body is yearning for. And that is this connection to spirituality. It just can't be. So spiritually, you are not able to get what you need to ascend. And this is what they robbed you of. So if you have the power to transcend and to move forward, you can do so. This is what melanin gives us the power to do. This is why they give you a leg up in the world. This is why they cheat for European people, because you just don't have it. And I'm not trying to be racist or mean or nothing like that. This is fact. And my goal has been trying to help you understand this, to help you gain this melanin, to gain this situation, this power back, so you become truly spiritual. De Niro figured it out. This is the reason why a lot of these rich Europeans marry back into African bloodlines, because they understand. The key, one, you need at some point, you need to be back in the bloodline. This is what they was trying to fix. Unless you come back into African bloodline, you won't fix the problem. You're just going to continue a cycle of no spirituality. You'll stay here. Unless you come back into the bloodline and stay in the bloodline and keep it going and bring your energy back into a body that is melanated so it can gain the knowledge needed to ascend, you will forever come back here. It's just a fact. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but when you research it to this point, as long as I have, you'll see that it's true. Now, I know it's going to be hard to accept for people to really grasp that concept, but it's why it seems like, Africans are more spiritual. And they understood, the Europeans, the Aryans understood exactly how to sucker us into control by giving us something that's spiritual, because we basically move in spirituality. We're surrounded by it. Melanated people are melanin is spiritual. This is why you have people say, melanin is biological living light, and the properties that it has and what it does as far as its effects on the brain and the dream state is amazing. It's just something that's amazing that, is documented. So again, like I said, it's hard to accept for Europeans, and it's something that I've done years of research on and looked into, and because you have to understand why, what is it? And there's a lot more to it, of course, as I get into in a certain series or what have you. There's a lot more to all of this, but you have to ask yourself why. What is it? So much hate for black people for what? Because our skin color, what? If you hate us because we sold drugs and everything, CIA gave it to us. The white people gave us the stuff. If you hate us because we poor, they made us poor. They put us in every negative situation that we are in. Wow, what is going on? Why are we not allowed to rise, to come together, to do anything? Why is hip hop so popular? Are we living in the hip hop culture, something that is destroying black people? A lot of people just don't want to put it together and say, what is it about black people that they hate, that they want to keep down, that they at all costs do not want us to unite. You know, in a unity, we will understand that we got a common enemy. So you got to look at this and understand that they are destroying you spiritually, plain and simple. Put the fact that a black man is telling you this to the side. Do your own research and understand that there's no malice in my heart, no hate at all for anybody. That this is all truth that's coming out, and it's a lot more to it. So this is just a small part of it, you know. But they're destroying you spiritually. Black people, you know, at the same time, we got to fix our shit as well. But just understand that, you know, the reason why we couldn't just coexist with the Aryans when it was coming down is because they really couldn't accept the ancient Egyptians and the Africans of what was going on spiritually. All they could see was the possessions that Africans had, and they felt like, well, all this knowledge and technology is stupid that y'all focusing so much on the spiritual stuff and death instead of concentrating on the here and now and making this place better for everybody. This is what the Europeans was thinking because they wasn't, you know, spiritual. The Aryans, they wasn't spiritual people. They couldn't really understand it. They could only grasp the material. And you got to really think about why they put the whole concept of Satan in them as Satan in the Bible, because that's basically, you know, when you understand who they describe as Satan, when I talk about the lower brain. So we fell because the lower brain. Who brought us the lower brain? Who put us in the lower brain state? It was the Europeans. It was the Aryans that put us in the lower brain state. And it's because the lower brain that we fell. The lower brain is what got these Moors to basically accept the gold and the money and the riches to betray us. The lower brain is the reason why we forgot about spirituality and jumped into the whole materialistic thing and thinking that gold and riches is the key of life when it's spirituality. It's the lower brain. So you had the Aryans come and bring this whole lower brain mentality to the world. So when I say that the government, and we say that white people is the devil, this is what we mean by that. This is what we mean by the government system. This whole system, this whole satanic system is surrounded by all of this. And it's all about, you know, forgetting spirituality and accepting materialism and it being the downfall of spirituality and of African people throughout the world. So we got to get it back. We got to understand it. We got to accept that this is what happened to us and why it happened. And we got to act accordingly. So this is one of the reasons why I do what I do. So, you know, with black people, it's crazy in Africa how much they turn. I mean, look what happened to Patrice Lumumba. It's hard to even watch the footage of Africans dragging this man to his death. And it's like, what are you doing? You have to really understand, you know, how much we betray each other. And this is why the music is so perfect, because they know we have this. They did it to us in slavery. We look at a lot of the slave pictures, you'll see the African. They make one of the slaves beat another slave. So this developed animosity, and, you know, they was having sex with the wives of slaves and what have you. And it's just so much animosity between us. And, you know, yes, you know, the civil rights movement did before that, you know, in the slavery and all the racism and segregation and what have you did create unity, which is why they had to end it, because we was becoming too united and too focused. And they seen places like Black Wall Street flourish, and they knew because of our unity that this is what happened. So they had to stop that. So if we don't get that back, if we don't unite and understand what's going on, it's over. It's just over. And by the same token, if we fall, the rest of the white people fall, and these people at the top will stay at the top, ruling whoever is left here at some point. So it sounds crazy, spooky kind of sort of, but it's the facts. It's what everything leads you to, the understanding of, and it's the truth. So when you start putting the pieces together, this is what you will come up with. But the Moors, it's not even worth getting too much more into it. This is the story right here. This is who they were. This is what they did. So when you fast forward to modern day and look at these Moors that's popping up associated with Islam, ask yourself the question. One, you have the Moors associated with Islam. You have Noble Drew Ali coming through with the Fez and bringing Islam, what have you. You have Elijah Muhammad with the Fez. Then you have the Shriners with the Fez. You know, and You know, what is Truman doing with a fez? You know, what is these white people doing with fezzes on? That's have Muslim words. What is this? So when I did the whole video about Islam and how it's controlled by Rome and everything like that, all of this comes into play. So if you've seen that video, you see how it all fits in now, and understanding that, one, all this stuff goes back to the Moors. The Moors brought this stuff about.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. We got a lot coming up with Merkabah Academy and a lot to get into in this video, so let's get into it. I know a lot of you guys have been enjoying the games, but there's a lot more games to come once the site is complete. We are nearing the completion of Merkabah Academy, and the site will be done September the 9th. We will upload the full completed site. This is your chance to get a Never Pay Again membership at an unbelievable price, $7.99, and we'll get into that in a second. There's a lot of accounts on Merkabah Academy, so we're giving everybody a chance to upgrade to Never Pay Again membership. If you are not a Never Pay Again member by Monday, your account will be deleted. But no worries, if you can't afford the $7.99, you'll have a chance to re-register 10 days after the site launches. Also, the new Merkabah Academy app will soon be available. You will get notifications and alerts. You will also be able to upload your favorite music and edit your course experience. Now, as I said before, we'll have teachers on Merkabah Academy. A few of you I'm already speaking to now. But if you would like to become a teacher on Merkabah Academy, make sure you send me an email. If you have anything to teach, if you have the skill, send me an email to Merkabah Academy. If you want to teach on Merkabah Academy, you'll have a chance to earn some money. You'll be able to interact with your students, as well as send out course materials, mass messaging, and a lot more. Merkabah Academy will be global, so even if you're overseas and you want to teach or you want to join the site, you'll be able to do so. So now, as I said, Merkabah Academy, this is your final chance to get Never Pay Again membership for $7.99, an unheard of, unbelievable price. This is your chance to get it. This sale will end on Monday, will be your final chance. We have to do this because we have to flush the site of members, and we don't want to get rid of anybody who's a Never Pay Again member. So it's a lot of dummy pages, it's a lot of dummy subscribers. We have to get rid of those people, and we have to make sure that everybody who is on the site is engaged in the site. I know it's a lot to take in, but the site is almost complete, and we appreciate your patience and support. Thanks for watching.